Hello, my dear students. I welcome you to our SHS2 Core Mathematics program brought to you by the Center for National Distance Learning and Open Schooling. My name is Gershon. In our previous lesson, we learned how to solve equations with two unknown variables using the graphical method. In this lesson, we shall study how to solve simultaneous equations by the substitution method. The substitution method is a bit easier than the graphical method in terms of approach. So I'm going to show you how to use 5 easy steps to solve questions involving the substitution method. First, you label the two equations as 1 and 2. Next, you choose one of the equations and make one variable the subject. Thirdly, you substitute for one variable in terms of the other in the second equation to obtain an equation in terms of one variable. The fourth thing you have to do is to solve the resulting equation to find one unknown variable. And finally, you substitute the result and solve for the second variable. Let us see how this is done with some quick examples. Solve the simultaneous equations y minus x is equal to negative 1 and y plus x is equal to 7. So as we said, we have to label the two equations as 1 and 2. So y minus x is equal to negative 1 is equation 1 and y plus x is equal to 7 is equation 2. Now we have to make y the subject or x the subject. It's a matter of choice. You can choose any one. But let us make y the subject in equation 1. And that will give us y is equal to negative 1 plus x. We now substitute y is equal to negative 1 plus x in equation 2. What that means is that in equation 2, wherever we see y, we put negative 1 plus x there. And so we go to equation 2. And that is negative 1 plus x is equal to 7. And solving this give us negative 1 plus 2x is equal to 7. So we group like terms. So we have 2x is equal to 7 plus 1. And so 2x is equal to 8. Now we have to divide both sides by 2 in order to solve for x. So we have 2x divided by 2 is equal to 8 divided by 2. And so x is equal to 4. Now, to solve for the value of y, we have to put x equal to 4 in any of the equations. But here, let us choose equation 1. So we put x equal to 4 in equation 1. And that will give us y minus 4 is equal to negative 1. And then we group like terms. So we have y is equal to negative 1 plus 4, which will give us y is equal to 3. Our solution is x is equal to 4 and y is equal to 3. Very cool. Let's take another example. Solve these equations by the method of substitution. 2x plus y is equal to 4 is equation 1. And then x minus y is equal to negative 1 is equation 2. As we said, we have to let one of the variables be the subject. And so since we have the equations labeled already, we can go to equation 1 and make y the subject. So if we make y the subject, it means y should stand on its own. And so we have y is equal to 4 minus 2x. We substitute this for y in equation 2. And so that will give us x minus into bracket 4 minus 2x. And then that should be equal to negative 1. So we have to remove the brackets. And because here we have the equation written in terms of x, we can see that we don't have y in this equation as at now. So we put them together. We have x minus 4 plus 2x is equal to negative 1. And so putting the x together, we have 3x. And then we have 4 plus negative 1. And that will give us 3x is equal to 3. and x is equal to 1. To solve for the value of y, we substitute x is equal to 1 in equation 1. So whenever we see x in equation 1, we put 1 there. And that will give us 2 times 1 plus y is equal to 4. So 2 times 1 is 2 plus y is equal to 4. So we group like terms. We have y is equal to 4 minus 2, giving us y is equal to 2. So the solution to this particular, simultaneous equation is x equal to 1 and y is equal to 2. I believe that was easy. Let us take a look at another example. Solve the equations. 8x minus 7y is equal to negative 52 and x is equal to 2y minus 11. Again, let us label the equations as 1 and 2. So we have 8x minus 7y is equal to negative 52. And so we label this as equation 1. And then x is equal to 2y minus 11. This is equation 2. Now remember we said you have to make one of these variables the subject. And since x is equal to 2y minus 11, x is already written as the subject of the equation. So let us substitute equation 2 into 1. Remember equation 2 is x is equal to 2y minus 11. So whenever we see x, we put 2y minus 11 there. So let's go to equation 1. So we have 8 times 2y minus 11 minus 7y is equal to negative 52. Then we remove the bracket. So 8 times 2y is 16y. Then we have 8 times 11, negative 11 of course. So you have 16y minus 88 minus 7y is equal to negative 52. Then we have 16y minus 7y is equal to negative 52 plus 88. Remember, we are grouping like terms. And so 16y minus 7y is equal to 9y, and negative 52 plus 88 is equal to 36. So 9y is equal to 36. Now we have to divide through by 9 so that we can find the value of y. So dividing through by 9, we have y is equal to 4. Now to find the value of x, we shall substitute y is equal to 4 into equation 2. Remember, in equation 2, we had x is equal to 2y minus 11. So we have x is equal to 2 times 4 minus 11. And that will give us x is equal to 8 minus 11. And x is equal to negative 3. Therefore, the solution to our question is x is equal to negative 3 and y is equal to 4. Now, try this. Solve the simultaneous equations y minus x is equal to 1 and 2y plus 3x is equal to 7. Well, I'm going to help you a bit. We said we have to label the two equations. So y minus x is equal to 1 is our equation 1. Then 2y plus 3x is equal to 7 is equation 2. Now we have to choose what we make the subject, whether x or y, in any of the equations. But for convenience, let us make y the subject in equation 1. And that will give us y is equal to 1 plus x. I normally do this because I don't like the negative sign myself. It can trick you. So we substitute y is equal to 1 plus x in equation 2. And that will give us 2 times 1 plus x, then plus 3x. All that should be equal to 7. So solving, we have 2 plus 2x plus 3x is equal to 7. And that will give us 5x is equal to 7 minus 2. Remember, we have to group the like terms. So we have 5x is equal to 5. Now we have to divide both sides of the equation by 5. And that will give us 5x divided by 5 is equal to 5 divided by 5. So we have x is equal to 1. Now to solve for the value of y, we have to put x equal to 1 in any of the two equations. But let's do that for equation 1. Remember, equation 1 is y minus x is equal to 1. So we are going to replace x with 1. What that means is that we have y minus 1 is equal to 1. Now watch this carefully. We have y minus 1 is equal to 1. We have to actually add 1, positive 1, to both sides of the equation. So we have y minus 1 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 1. Remember, minus 1 plus 1 is equal to 0. So we have y is equal to 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. Therefore, when x is equal to 1, we have y is equal to 2. Now, I am going to introduce you to two problems that involve real-life situation. I want you to take note of the question carefully, and then we write mathematical expressions and form two equations from the questions. So let's take 1. A train fare for a school child is half the teacher's fare. The total fare for 120 children and 15 teachers for an excursion is 180 Ghana cedis. Find the fare for a child. And then, how many children will go on the excursion with 20 teachers for a total fare of 240 Ghana cedis? Remember, from the question, we are told that the fare for a child is half that of the teacher. So let the fare for a child be x and that of a teacher be y. From the question, we are told that the fare for a child is half that of the teacher. So we have x is equal to half y, or 1 over 2y. That is equation 1. Also, we have 120x plus 15y is equal to 180. We have to substitute equation 1 into equation 2 because from the first equation we have x is equal to half y. So from equation 2, where we find x, we will put half y there. And so we have 120 times half y plus 15y should be equal to 180. So 120 times half y is equal to 60y. Then plus 15y is equal to 180. Solving, we have 75 is equal to 180. Solving, we have 75y is equal to 180. So we now divide both sides of the equation by 75. And that will give us y is equal to 2.4. Now to solve for the value of x, we have to put y is equal to 2.4 into equation 1, which is x equals to half y. So wherever we see y, we put 2.4 there. And so we have x is equal to half times 2.4. And that will give us x equal to 1.20. The fare of a child is therefore 1 Ghana cedi, 20 pesos. Now for the second question, let's make n represent the number of children. Then we have n times x plus 20y should be equal to 240. But we just solve for x, which is equal to 1.20. So we replace x by 1.2. And that will give us n times 1.20 plus 20 times 2.40. And all that should be equal to 240. So that gives us 1.20n plus 48 is equal to 240. So we group like terms. We have 1.20n is equal to 240 minus 48. That gives us 1.20n is equal to 192. Now we divide both sides of the equation by 1.20, and that will give us n is equal to 160. Therefore, 160 children will go on the excursion. Now the second part of our word problem goes this way. In a class of 52 students, 16 are science students. If 1/3 of the boys and 1/4 of the girls are science students, how many boys are in the class? So since we are dealing with boys and girls, let us make X and Y represent the boys and the girls, respectively. So X for boys and Y for girls. The total number of students in the class is 52. Therefore, we have X plus Y is equal to 52. That is equation 1. Then also we have 1 over 3x plus 1 over 4y is equal to 16, because we are told that 1/3 of the boys and 1/4 of the girls are science students, and the total number of science students is 16. So from the equation 1, we have y is equal to 52 minus x. And then we substitute this into equation 2. That is y is equal to 52 minus x. Wherever we see y, we put 52 minus x. So we go back to equation 2. So we have 1 over 3x plus 1 over 4 times 52 minus x. And that should be equal to 16. Now, we have to multiply both sides of the equation by the LCM, which is 12. And so we have 12 times 1 over 3x, that will give us 4x, plus 12 times 1 over 4, and that will give us 3. And then in bracket, we have 52 minus x. That should be equal to 12 times 16, which is equal to 192. Now, let us expand and remove the bracket. So we have 4x plus 156 minus 3x equals to 192. We group like terms now. So we put the x together, and then we also put the numbers together. So we have 4x minus 3x is equal to 192 minus 156. And so that will give us x is equal to 36. There are 36 boys in the class. Brilliant. Let's take a quick look at what we have done today. We said two simultaneous linear equations are two equations that have the same solutions. In the method of substitution, we follow these steps. I. Label the equations as 1 and 2. II. Choose one of the equations and make one variable the subject. III. Substitute for one variable in terms of the other in the second equation to obtain an equation in terms of one variable. IV. Solve the resulting equation to find one unknown variable. And finally, V. Find the other unknown variable by substituting your result in IV in any of the equations. Well, this brings us to the end of the second lesson on simultaneous linear equations. In our next lesson, I will show you how to solve simultaneous linear equations using the elimination method. Till then, keep practicing your mathematics. Bye-bye.